This is the Big Fish Cares podcast. Big Fish Cares podcast. And here's your host, Benny Fisher.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live on an island in the Caribbean? I'm talking full time, not just for a vacation. Well, you're going to want to hear this guest story because he went all the way from India to Curacao. I met this guy at VeeCon last year, and now he's a member of my content team, the BennyFisher.com content team. My buddy Jay is on the show today. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I am currently speaking from Curacao in the Caribbean, very close to South America, and happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's dive into that, man. It's a small island, right? Like a lot of people, I know it's right next to Aruba because I was doing some research and I was like, I've always heard of Curacao, but it's not like the most popular island from like an American standpoint, right? You got Jamaica, Aruba, even Puerto Rico, even St. Thomas, St. Martin. I feel like those names come off my tongue real quick.
Curacao is like what I would say Puerto Rico is to the U.S. or the U.S. Virgin Islands. Curacao is like that for the Netherlands. So very popular for people in the Netherlands. You have famous like soccer stars coming here to vacation, but not very popular in the States. But,
so tell me so what's the connection to the Netherlands? So why did the Netherlands, they're just a small country in Europe, right?
Yeah, I mean, just simple as, it was a Dutch colony, for the longest time it was a Dutch colony. It has a rich history of like slavery and what happened here, a lot of old Dutch land houses. One of the best parts about Curacao is you have a lot of buildings from the 1700s, the 1800s, 1900s, all preserved. Just so you have a lot of like Dutch architecture to the point where the UN came in and was like, this is a World Heritage Site and it's like protected. So like none of the things can be changed. So you get to experience a lot of the history and culture that happened in the earlier centuries here.
Is there, do you guys have a lot of cruise ships that come in and out?
Yeah, a lot of cruise ships come in. Not the same as what Aruba gets or St. Martin gets because our port's not that big. But yeah, a lot of cruise ships keep coming in and a lot of new people keep coming in to visit.
So what's it like for you? How long have you lived there?
I have lived there. So I lived there for 7 years of my teenage life, and then I went to Miami, was living in Miami for 7 years, and now I'm back. I've been living here for 5 years. So I think 12 in total, 12 years of living on an island.
So tell me how you got to Curacao. Like what? Yeah. I mean, like you weren't born there. So how the heck do you end up living on an island like that? Like, and why'd you pick that island?
I was born in Mumbai, India. In a big city life, kind of like imagine like living in New York, maybe not exactly Manhattan, but Brooklyn kind of area, right? All my friends live within like a 5-minute radius of me. I stepped down on my apartment building, got 2 friends each side, and my cousin brother, who's really close to my heart, would be like, a block away. My best friends from school were 1 block away in each direction. And so everyone was so close by. And then I come here. So my parents, they were jewelers, and my mom's uncle had like a job offer where like, hey, they were doing freelance jewelry and kind of like trying to get that business going. It wasn't really taking off. So they're like, hey, come here. We get a lot of cruise ships coming in. We'll open a jewelry store here, make that happen, give them an opportunity. So they flew here, and like I was 11. I was like, all right. I went on that flight and I joined up.
So what was it like growing up in India? Like, so you said the city is like a big popular city, so like something like New York City, Brooklyn, millions of people.
Yeah, millions of people. It was so. What I really enjoyed was like I'm Indian. I love the Indian food, so food was really great. Entertainment options were really there. I was a big fan of movies and specifically Bollywood movies, so got to watch Bollywood movies, and that was a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, we had. Maybe you have snow days in Pittsburgh, but we had rainy days. Like we get the monsoon season. So in India, you get rain for 4 months of the year. You go to school, and like some days I didn't want to be at school, man. I would pray. I would like, come on, let it rain. And so some days,
it would rain so hard you wouldn't have to go to school.
It would rain so hard it would flood, and so either you wake up and it's flooded and your school's canceled, or you're at school and then it just continuously rains through morning, and by like 10 o'clock they're like, okay, too much flood, it's unsafe, go home. And then you like walk through the flood because you can't drive. You have to walk through the flood back home because my school was 2 blocks away. So I walked back home. And
so so this is fascinating to me. I mean, listen, a kid from America, right? Like who's I think I've traveled outside the country only a handful of times, and it was really just for the Caribbean for like one of those like tourist vacations. I think I've been to Mexico, been to Canada. But like I've never been to India, never been to Curacao. But like I'm almost more fascinated with this Indian thing. Like so, like I've seen a couple movies. I can't remember what they're called right off the top of my head. But like I know that like India is probably one of the most populated areas in the world. There's probably over 1 billion people, right? Is that true?
Yeah, like 1.6, 1.8.
Yeah, which is nuts, right?
Just keeps growing.
And it's like half the size of China, but it's like got just as many people as China, right? Like
yeah.
So, and what I always know, correct me if I'm wrong, but like this is what this podcast is all about. Let's put out some things and see what happens and see if they're right. But like, it seems to me that like in India, you're either super rich or super poor. Is that true?
No, I think there's a healthy middle class. Because there's a healthy middle class because like that's where I come from, right? And,
okay, yeah. See, I don't know. Like some of those movies you see, like they make it look poor.
Yeah.
But then like I feel like over in America, like some of the Indian doctors and some of the people like I feel like they're rich. I don't know if they're just rich here, if they were rich back home. I don't know. So what is it like growing up? There's a class system, right? Like isn't there like a class system, or is that still around?
That used to be the case. That's really not the case anymore. We learned it in our history books, right?
Oh, okay.
It's not something apparently happening.
Is it a capitalist country? Is it like is it a communist?
Yeah.
It's not a communist country, is it? Right?
Definitely not communist. It's a capitalist country. Very much like there's a lot of nationalistic pride.
How would you compare it to? I mean, how much do you know about America?
Decently.
Okay, so how would you compare it to America?
A lot like it, but I just feel like the only difference is sometimes there's a little bit more freedom in America than there is in so freedom of speech is not exactly like that. You have comedians, if they make fun of the nation, they can kind of go to jail for that, right? Like it's...
Oh, really?
There's a little bit of what I see in America is
censored speech.
You could take the flag, make a hat out of it, right? You could make swim trunks out of it and do whatever you want. You can't do that with the Indian flag, right? So you gotta that nationalistic pride kind of comes in pretty strong. Here's a fun fact you wouldn't know and it blows me away every time I go back. But every time a movie plays, right before a movie starts, no matter which movie it is, the Indian national anthem plays, and everyone stands up.
So just like a sports game.
Yeah, just like that. You will have your commercials, you'll have your trailers, you'll have the thing that turn your phone away, blah blah blah, and then the last thing before the movie starts is the Indian flag. And then the national anthem plays, and everyone's supposed to stand up, right? Stand up. You can sing if you want, whatever it is, and then everyone sits down, you eat your popcorn, and the movie starts.
Why is there so many people there? Like, how? Like, is it just because it's like an old country and they just keep having babies, or I think why is there so many freaking people?
The rural nations, I don't think they knew about birth control. There's that. There's. Actually, that's fascinating more than why there are so many people.
I mean, think about it. America's only 350 million people, okay, give or take, 10 or 20 million. I don't know what the number is. I don't think we've ever hit over 400 yet. And, America's a pretty, I think a good-sized country. I don't think it, is as big as China. But, India, I feel like in America are got to be, close to the same size as India. Might be a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I think it also starts from...
Especially if we're not counting Alaska. Let's not count Alaska, because Alaska's really big, but...
In the rural lands, right? I think what they used to do was they used to have as many babies as possible so that they can get more workers for the farm, right? This is what I know about it, at least a little bit. That's my theory out of it. So then
do you have brothers or sisters?
No, I'm a single child. So
there you go. So all right. And then I'm just trying to understand, your parents, so they came to Curacao just for a better opportunity. Is that almost like some people come to America for a better opportunity? Somebody talk to your mom and dad and you're like, hey man, we can be jewelers over here at Curacao, man, and we'll make a killing off the tourists, right?
Yep. And that never ended up happening.
So what was it like when you were 11 years old? Was that, because I remember when I was 8 or 9, we moved houses. We didn't even move school district. We stayed in the same school district, but I had to go to a different elementary school. So I had to leave all my friends in 4th grade, and I remember I went over to another elementary school. But then by the time I was in 6th grade, I got to see all my friends again because we were all at the middle school, which all was in one building. So what was it like for an 11-year-old boy, literally having to leave the country and go to a whole different place?
It was hard. It genuinely, that year when we moved was one of the hardest of my life. I remember I came in, so I'd never even moved houses before in my life. I lived in an apartment building where on the 3rd floor I lived with my parents, and my grandparents lived on the 4th floor of the apartment building. So I had kind of like the love of those two kind of like, your parental figures right at my fingertips hand. Like I'm bored here, my parents are not here, I go to my grandparents' house, I climb the staircase, I'm there. Took me 8 seconds to get to my grandparents' house, right?
Did you have any cousins?
I had cousins, and I had cousins living nearby, like 1 block away.
Okay.
Right? So I would just go to them, eat at their place, So I had family around me, I had friends around me. All my friends lived in that 1 block radius around me, And so I had all of that close to me, and suddenly I had never moved houses, and suddenly not only have I moved houses, I'm in a different country and I'm in a different continent, right, on the other side of the world.
What language? So what's the language over there?
In Curacao, they speak.
No, in India.
Oh, in India, they speak Hindi and English.
But you call it Hindi and English, right? Hindi
Hindi is like the local language, right? And because of the British rule of 200 years, we speak English in the school. Actually, English is my first language. I was taught English in school.
Really? I was going to say, because your English is perfect. I always take it for granted. You probably know Hindi too, right?
Yeah, like I can read, write, whatever needs to happen.
And then I learned a fun fact the other day. Now you know Spanish too.
Yeah. Like so in India, in my school, Hindi was the second language, right? Like if you know how you can take sometimes Spanish as an extra.
Do they look at like English as like, oh man, that's the best language to learn? Is it like that over there, or is it not like that over there?
Not necessarily like that. It's more a case of, hey, the English opens more doors for you, right? All the businesses, offices operate in English. English is the international language. India, is looking to be part of the global community and the economy, so they're like, English is the way to go. So from the British rule, they're like, here it is, take English.
All the cool kids speak English in India.
Yeah,
if you're
educated, like English gives you those chances. So a sign that you're educated is you speak English right from the start.
Okay, all right.
So they value it.
And so your mom and dad, do they speak English? I mean, their whole life. I mean, just the same way you were, right? Like they went to school, they learned English first. Like it's interesting. That's so fascinating. What religion do you guys practice over there?
So we practice Hinduism.
Okay.
And that's where you see, like, I don't know if you've seen this or encountered everything, but the belief kind of goes through their different gods. They're like more than like hundreds, thousands gods, right? But
really?
They're different gods.
See, I don't know that much about it. I'm pretty ignorant. I'm pretty ignorant about world affairs. So.
No problem. You have different gods like that make up like different statues and everything. But at the end of the day, what you end up having is the idea is you're worshiping different statues, but at the end of the day, there's one god at the end of it, right? Just God, right? And they come, like God reincarnates itself in different forms. That's why you have, over years, you have different forms of it. And
much different than Christianity, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do they teach, is there any Christianity in India?
Yeah, there's a big Christian population. There's a very famous church by the sea that I always go to. And it has a very serene atmosphere there. So always, like, we call it's Mount Mary. We go to the church there. It's just great to see that and experience that. But
is there any, sorry about all these questions. This is fascinating to me.
I'm glad.
See, I never know which way this is going to go.
The beauty of having these conversations is to learn deeper about people and their ideas and their experiences.
Well, I mean, again, I can guarantee that most of the people that are listening to our podcast right now, they don't know that much about India either. So they're probably hanging on every question that I ask. So you hear in other countries, there's fighting between different religions, different things like that. Was there any of that, or is it pretty everybody's happy, or is there any war in India?
Man, the Hindus and the Muslims don't like each other.
Oh, so Muslims a big thing over there too, then, right?
Yeah.
So is it three different the Christian, Hindu, and Muslim?
Yeah. So what you have the Hindus are the majority of the population.
How much? What's when you say 50%, 80%?
I am purely guessing here, but I would say 60%.
Okay.
Right? And then Muslims would be about 30%, and then 10% can go to
so Christians are the minority. Okay.
And then of course there's a few percentage here and there for everyone else.
Interesting. I'm battling a cold today when I record this podcast. I just realized it might sound terrible for the people listening at home, but hey, you know what? We gotta pump these episodes out, so this is what you're gonna get. So is there war over there? Do you guys like do like? Is there? Do you guys have like? I mean, I've never heard of the Indian Army or the Indian like no, like I feel like I've seen pictures of the Chinese or and like the Russian but like I never hear about this massive Indian Army.
Okay, let me give you. Let's go take a quick history lesson, right? So India, right? India next to Pakistan and Afghanistan. If you know where they are, right? You have India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Those are the countries that are there. So 1700s, all of it is kind of ruled under one Mughal Empire, which was very Muslim, right? After a while, when the British rule came in, the British rule started to take over. India and Pakistan were one country together. They were all considered to be India. 200 years of British rule, right? And they kind of the area in Pakistan was a majority Muslim population. India is majority Hindu population. The Britishers leave and they decide to they created a lot of division. So the Muslim people are like, we want our own country. And they just divide it up. So India and Pakistan broke off in the 1940s, right? And there's still tension there. There's been 2 wars, possibly a third one coming. There's a lot of tension there.
So is it just right on the border, or like?
Right across the border. Because when you divide up a border like that, they keep fighting over a state called Kashmir. Kashmir is part of India currently, and they keep fighting over who gets to have that.
But why? Why not just I think India's so big, Pakistan it feels like big. Why is everybody worried about a little city?
I think for resources or the people there or whatever it is, or for control, they keep fighting over that's one area they keep.
Or are they worried that if they come in there, then they're going to keep coming, or they're going to keep
there's a threat of that. There's also India's hey, we divided this line up. No, So it's been very brutal there. And a little bit about my family history was my family historically was in a state that lied right in between India and Pakistan. So when this division happens, they had to leave their property, their life and everything, and then they left everything and they're like, where do we go? So they went to the big city of Mumbai. That's where my grandfather met my grandmother, and that's
how do you spell Mumbai? I'm going to look it up while we're talking.
So Mumbai is Mumbai.
I'm going to look to see where this bad boy is.
But at the end of the day, Mumbai is a big city that's kind of tolerant. You'll see.
You're on a peninsula, man. You're on Florida. You're on Florida.
Yeah.
Look at that little edge. Wow, look how big, man. I'm zooming out. I'm still zooming out. That's crazy. That's wild. So you're on the West Coast. So you're if I'm looking at India, I'm you're on the West Coast, and look how big that is, man. That's crazy. That's wild. So you guys can't see this at home, but yeah, I'm looking at Mumbai. So that's got to be one of the bigger cities, right?
One of the biggest, for sure.
I've heard of New Delhi. Sri Lanka that's a separate country, correct?
Separate country.
Gotcha. This is so interesting how these things happen. I wish I did learn a little bit more about the history over there. They don't teach that. They don't teach that to us.
No, and
we're all about USA. Again, we had to get freed from the British, right? So the British, did they rule the whole world or something? I guess they did.
At one point, yeah, the sun never set on the British Empire.
That's wild. I mean, they're just that little island up there. It's wild to me that they were able to have that much control.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, that is incredible. So, all right, let's get back to the Curacao, the fun part, right? So. So mom and dad say, hey, we're going to Curacao. You're probably like, oh my gosh, I don't have any friends. I don't know what I'm going to do, right? So when you say it was the hardest year of your life, expand upon that a little bit. So what's that look like? What's that feel like for you?
Yeah, so I come here, right? Firstly, they speak, while I was, I went to an international school, so they were speaking English, but there are other languages they speak here. They speak Dutch. There was Spanish. I didn't know any Spanish at that time.
You didn't know any?
I didn't know any Spanish at that time. And that was the local language of Papiamento. Right, so I come here and I'm fresh off the boat, man. You could think about all the stereotypes you want to put on me. You could put right. I had the Indian accent, right? So and India was good with technology. It's not like I'd never used a computer before, but I had never used Internet Explorer. I'm talking 2004, right? And the first computer class I had, I'm they're open Internet Explorer, have fun, explore, and I'm okay. I didn't know how to use that, right? I'll tell you how naive I was. You get those ads at that time. You're hey, free, click here, you get a free PSP. I would click on it and be yes, I won something, right? That's what it was, right? I would fall for those things, right? I didn't, right? I fell for that. I didn't know any better. And then, the kids wanted to make fun of me. The thing is, they're speaking in a different language. So first, whether they're making fun of me or not, when someone's speaking in a different language in front of you, you don't know what it is. There's that insecurity of, oh, maybe they're just talking about me. And
that happens to me all the time here in Pittsburgh in roofing, right? Because we have a lot of Hispanics that help us roof. And I'll never forget when I first started to do this. They'd always be talking. I always thought they were talking about me, making fun of me. They'd start giggling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they saying? It's driving me nuts. So I get that.
Yeah, so you get that feeling, and you've had to experience it firsthand. So I had to deal with that, and I guess my thing was, so I was a heads down, like kind of like nerdy student, right? So I did get good grades, and I guess I pissed off the guy who was.
Is every person from India super smart? Is that a stereotype in America? I feel like I've never met a dumb person from India, like ever.
You know what it is? I think they drill a lot of. So we are expected to memorize a lot. And specifically, like math and arithmetic, like, math is given a lot of focus. So
I just feel like every person is super smart that's from India, but like that could be a stereotype. Maybe that's only because maybe all the smart ones just come from India. They come to America. Is that what happens? Like, or
could be, but I do know in the foundation of like our education there, they really expect a lot. They put a lot of pressure on you as a kid right from the start, right? It's incredible. Like we had exams and things. Like I came here in 6th grade, like international school system. I was like, and it's very much tailored to the American school system. I'm like, oh, this is a breeze. I was stressing out there, man.
Well, I was just thinking too. America probably doesn't let you come in, like unless you have like they're probably always taking the best of the best.
Probably, I definitely think
people are immigrating, right? They probably make you fill out forms. There's probably like an application. When somebody says, oh, we want to study at medical school, we want to be a doctor, and America's like, yeah, we need more doctors. Yeah, we need more doctors. So, like, they only let the doctors and the computer programmers in, right? Like, I don't know. I'm assuming that's what happens. I wish I knew more. The more that we talk, the more I realize I don't know crap about immigration. I don't know, it's like we're in like a little bubble over here sometimes. But so Curacao, you're getting made fun of. Did it ever shift? Like, did you ever like gain their respect, or like did you always?
Yeah, so that first year was really hard. I didn't have any friends, so it was lonely. But I found comfort in the little things, right? I found comfort in the little things. I really enjoyed the schooling element of it. I got A stats, so I found that. I got a dog for the first time. I had a pet in my life, and that was a companionship there, and. I made do. I was a single child, and I kind of I made do. I made a lot of Lego, right? Like that's something I did. But then in a year, what happened was I started to learn the language, right? I picked up. I knew a little bit more Spanish because I took a year of Spanish. I understood the local language of Papiamento was easy to pick up, so I started to pick that up. And I was just like, I knew what Internet Explorer was, and I didn't take the people so seriously. I learned to dish back a little bit, and then I kind of got a little bit of the respect that way.
Did you have? I don't know. What year was this when you moved over, you said?
2004.
Did, when you were in India when you were 11, did you have internet and computers over there too, or not?
We had a computer at home and the dial-up internet with the thing, like boop, boop,
the dial-up?
But I didn't know much how to use it.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, you were young, so.
But one of the things that came out of that is
they didn't have the smartphones back then yet.
No. But one of the things that came out was I appreciated how the West adopted technology and had it. And so I always wanted to be at the forefront of technology. So like you see me in NFTs, if I'm trying to learn whatever the new thing is, whether it comes from we were a bit left behind there. I want to learn whatever is new and get ahead and be ahead of technology.
Well, that's why me and you get along. That's why we're like kindred spirits. Again, both of us are in VeeFriends, Gary Vee's project, NFT project. We met at VeeCon last year. You were at an event. I was at the same event. I think we started chatting after that. I was really getting into content creation more of like professionally. You've been helping me for a year. I don't even really want to dive into that because I'm more fascinated with
let's talk everything
your little story. Yeah, your little story, right? So, what was it like? Your parents, like, did they both like work their butts off as soon as they got there? Did mom stay home with you? Did dad go to work? Like, what was it like with your parents?
So I had a unique situation where my grandmother, right, from my dad's side, she came along with us. So like my grandmother basically raised me for those parts.
Oh wow, they brought the nanny for it. They brought the nanny.
Yeah, and my mom and dad were working, and they had to slog because like that jewelry store never ended up happening. So my dad was pushed into an electronics store. My mom was working a perfume store, and that
Did
was
they ever
it.
want to go back to India when they realized they couldn't get their Curaçaoian dream? I don't even know if that's a word.
No, the thing was because it
Curaçaoian,
wasn't like it was like, okay, a lot of jewelry stores open, so we'll wait. We'll wait a year when the opportunity comes. We'll wait another year, and by that time they had solidified their presence in the things where it's like, yes, the original plan didn't happen, but they found more opportunity, and they've invested so much in being there. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a thing. So let's go back to this India. So when you're in this apartment, give me an idea what the rent was. Do you even know? Did you ever ask your mom and dad, like, how much was rent in India, like in American dollars? Please don't tell me what it is.
So the beauty of it is my grandmother owned that place since 1979. So there was no rent that we had to pay in India, at least.
HOA fee? Like a fee to, like, take care of the apartment building?
Yeah, that was definitely there. I would say over the years it's changed, but it was around like yearly, like $300, yeah.
Yeah. So, how much money? Like, here, give the audience an idea of any idea what your mom and dad would make a year back then in 2004 before they came over.
The equivalent. I mean, like we have to deal with inflation and everything, but I would say about like $1,200
a month.
Yeah, 2004, $1,200 a month.
Wow, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's like that's like $12,000. That's like $15,000 a year.
Yeah.
Wow, but everything was paid for, so food was probably cheap, right? Did you guys have a car over in India?
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of car? My dad had a motorbike.
Does India have all of its own stuff? Like, does India make everything themselves, or do they import stuff?
No, they definitely import stuff. You have a lot.
Do they import cars, or do they have their car manufacturers?
I think we have a lot of Japanese cars. You'll see Toyota a lot. Suzuki
do you have any
cars.
of your own Indian car manufacturers?
Yeah, you have Tata. Tata is like a big conglomerate, and so they have their cars. So you have some local Indian
when they
cars.
moved to Curacao, what were they? Did they have this were they going for more money? Is that what they were going for?
Yeah, more money, more opportunity, kind of like a little bit better future for me.
What did they think they could get? Any idea what they thought they could get? Like from $1,200 a month, did they think they could make $400?
I just think it was better than $1,200 a month.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just curious. But that's a long way to travel, right? To hope and pray for
Yeah, I guess my mom's uncle had had established a business, and so there was a proven track record of what could be done here.
Oh, okay.
And so there was a little bit of that help and support that was always going to be there.
In America, it was probably always off the table, too hard.
Yeah, because the thing is that they weren't looking for let's just go somewhere. It's more like, hey, this opportunity is here.
Yeah, it was relationship based.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's so fascinating. Now, what did they want to do for you? Did they want to get you into university? I'm assuming they want.
Yeah, the whole thing was, at least if I'm here, it opens the doors to possibly university, going to university in the States. So that's an option. International education, that opens up doors. So,
are you guys still a citizen of India, or how does that work? Are you a dual citizen?
Yeah, no, I am now a Dutch citizen because
so no more Indian citizen.
I have an overseas citizenship of India, so I do have a little booklet that when I can go there and classify hey, you were born here, feel free. You know what's the funny thing is when you get a Dutch passport, right? You get access to go to a lot of countries, right? You don't have to apply for a visa. You get to go a lot of places, except India. You need a visa to go back. And so that was a fascinating
fill out. Does that mean you got to fill out paperwork and stuff?
Fill out paperwork, fill out a form, send 2 pictures of yourself, blah blah blah.
Interesting. See, I don't even know. So for America, we can pretty much almost go anywhere, right? As long as they don't have a trading. We're not allowed to go to Cuba. We're probably not allowed to go to Iraq. I mean, I have no idea what. I don't even know what the rules are, man. I feel like Americans are so just out to lunch compared to we just don't even know how good.
But you have a big country. I imagine the places you can go to and experience.
We don't really have to leave to experience whatever we want to experience. I mean, we have all the seasons. We have all I'm trying to think what we don't have. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. I haven't been all around the world, though, so I guess I don't know what I'm missing out on. So me and you got to do that. I want to go to India sometime with you.
Yeah, man.
I feel like I would
sure you drink bottled water, and then you'll be fine.
Well, I mean, that's all I drink now. Shoot, in America, man. So is it easy to get bottled water?
Yeah, 100%.
No, if I took $10,000 to India, would I just be able to do whatever I wanted?
Yeah, I mean, like 10,000. I mean, depends on what time frame you're looking at, but yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious. I mean, like,
but you see now Mumbai also is like become a big city, and it's expensive to live there, right?
Oh,
like,
really?
Kind of like think about it like LA, right, where it's overpopulated.
So how much would that old apartment sell for? Did your mom and dad sell it, or does Grandma still own it, or like?
Grandma still owns it. She's not. Gonna...
So how much would it sell for? Any idea?
Like. Let me do some quick math for you here.
Yeah, do some quick math. I'm fascinated with this, like, because I always feel like America's like so expensive, but also, we have a lot to be, thankful for. We don't have to worry about, too many, wars. We don't have to worry about, most cities in America aren't as congested. I mean, I feel like India's got to be congested with, like, just all those people and then all those cars and, like, I mean, it's just got to be... I don't know, constant just like traffic everywhere, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, a lot of traffic.
I can only imagine because I mean it's an old country, so I mean they probably didn't plan very well, right? Like they didn't plan for cars. Where I feel like America, has only been around for 250 years, and like most of it was like it's only 100 years old. I feel like most of it. Most of America, I feel like, it was after 1900, they did a lot of damage, but that's good stuff, man. Your parents doing well now?
So, I got your, it's like around,
number.
Yeah, 350,000.
Oh, all right, well, that's a good, like, yeah, that's a decent place. I mean, like, it's, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the key thing is, like, at least with having that, we have always a place to live in the hometown, right? But, like, sell it and then... buying any place in that area, like we live
$1 million.
Yeah, it's insane.
Wow, interesting. All right, so you guys are in Curacao. So what was like? So what'd you do after like high school? Like,
so high school ends, and then basically I had a chance to go to university, and I always knew I wanted to study business, and I wanted to do something creative. So I had the option between Villanova. I would be in Pennsylvania or University of Miami, right?
Wow.
And I went to Villanova, and it's overcast, and they have a graveyard at the entrance, and it's a very it was theology, some religious classes were mandatory, and they just didn't have the creative options I wanted. They're like, oh, you could do it like extracurricular, but that's it. And then I go to University of Miami, and you have palm trees at the entrance, you have colorful buildings, it's vibrant, there's a lake in the middle of the campus, and they're like, you want to do theater?
Good-looking girls at the U.
Great-looking girls.
Yeah.
You have a theater department, they're like, yeah, you want to do this? You can do this. They have a film department, and I was like, okay, I see myself here. And... that's what I ended up doing. So I studied 4 years in University of Miami. I juggled trying to figure out where my creative outlet lied, right? So I first started in... So here's something you didn't know. I have a minor in acting because I took theater classes from the start. And so...
so was it easy to get accepted and come over? Or did you have to fill out all kinds of paperwork, jump through all kinds of hoops?
No, it was easy. So I had I had good grades. And they both offered me scholarship to come. So
scholarship?
Yeah.
So you didn't have to pay?
I had to pay a little bit. If it's $30K a semester, they offered about $10 to $12K per semester.
Oh, so you still have to pay?
You still have to pay, and plus out of state and everything.
So did your parents help pay for that? Did your parents help pay for that?
My parents paid for it, and a combination of that, the uncle that kind of got the family here.
The rich uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has to have a rich uncle. Uncle Mark, if you're listening, you're my rich uncle. I also have an Uncle Larry. I feel like he's rich, too. So if any of my family's listening, they'll actually at least maybe ping me. I don't think they listen, though, so I think we're good. Everybody else listens, man. I get comments, emails. By the way, if you guys are getting value out of this podcast, I know I don't do this enough, you should subscribe, maybe leave me a note, so that way we can build this audience, because Jay's actually helping me with that. So
yeah, engage. Tell us how we can provide more value. So this is here for the people, with the people.
Yeah. So all right. So did you mention in your, I think in the show notes when you sent me over a message, you said you had some type of hardship after graduation? Was that high school graduation or college graduation?
College graduation, So my thing was, firstly, I'm jumping. I started with theater, and I was like, I don't enjoy the, only old people came to watch the shows, right? I lived in this area in Coral Gables. It's like, okay, this is not interesting for me. I tried marketing, and I interned for a bank in the marketing department, and they're like, you only can do creative.
What year was this?
This is 2013. Right?
Okay.
I'm working in a cubicle in this large bank operating with 8,000 people. And there you get to be creative once a year. You come up with a new slogan, you have that slogan will run for the whole year. Right? And I'm like, okay, this is not creative enough for me. And that's when I found film and got the chance. Now, after graduating, I had a job lined up to go to Buffalo, New York and work at a film production studio.
That's way worse than Philly.
It was something.
Manager John's from Buffalo. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, he was born in Buffalo. Lives in Detroit now, but which is
I would never have taken
basically
it for
what I call he's a well, I don't know, man. You call Buffalo New Yorker? I guess you do. I call New York City New Yorkers. But I got you. Hopefully, people from New York are listening. They're not offended, but I don't know. But anyway, so what happened?
Yeah, so I had this job lined up and everything, and I graduate. And the thing is, because I had this job lined up for me, I had stopped applying to other things, and like that. And after graduation was with my deal with my parents in terms of I'll have to be financially independent and everything. But what started off was, I guess, I had the job in the bag, and I don't know whether they didn't like the interview or whatever it was. I get a message. I graduate, right, and I'm living in a temporary apartment. So I'm waiting for the official thing. So I moved to Buffalo, right? Everything in boxes, ready to go. I'm living in an apartment, no furniture. I'm like, it's going to be for a month. I'm ready to go. And I get an email one day, which is like, hey, we're running out of funds. We can't offer you the job. And so suddenly, the biggest prospect coming out of graduation goes out for me, right? I'm kind of on my own, trying to be financially independent, and anything that I had saved is being now used for rent and things, and I have no money coming in. I was experiencing the biggest heartbreak because the girlfriend that I was with, she graduated, and things were not working out there. And this is a girl I thought I might marry.
Oh
and
boy!
And so that didn't work out. So I'm in tremendous heartbreak. And then the friends that I had around me as a support system graduated and left Miami. So I'm alone, heartbroken, and broke. Sleeping on an air mattress that I poked a hole into because I slept with keys in my pocket one day, and I would fill it up, right? I would fill it up, and so I would sleep 6 inches above ground, and then in the morning I wake up and I'm back on the ground.
Dude, I've done that before, but it wasn't because I had keys in my pockets, because I was over 300 pounds and I used to flatten that thing out, man.
Oh,
so did you ever did you get homesick? Did you call mom a lot? Did you what was the relationship with mom and dad like when you were in Florida?
Still supportive. I kind of didn't want to, maybe a little bit of pride on my end. I didn't want to go back and be like, hey, I need money or anything.
Yeah,
I was just like, I'll figure it out. I did odd jobs. I tutored people, right? But it was those 3 to 4 months were really difficult. There were times where honestly the thought crossed where I'm like, if I was actually on a shoot, and we were shooting up on a Miami penthouse, but part of me was I had to do the boring work, the mindless work. I had to hold the mic.
Like our boy Adam Sand says, the hard boring work.
Yeah, yes, but it was mindless for me. So my mind was just focusing on the problems. Yes, I'm there where I want to be, but my mind was focusing on the problems. I got this gig for 10 days, and they weren't paying me, right? So they're like, I'm volunteering to be there, and it was just one of those times where I'm like, if I jump from this penthouse right now, that's it. All my problems are over. That's it.
What?
Right there, right?
You thought about that?
The thought crossed my head, and in that thought, where I'm doing this, a stronger version of me, like Superman, picked me up, and you're like, we're not doing this. We've survived every day before this. We are surviving this through now, right? And it's just one of those things where I had positivity is big for me, but it was hard to find in those times. And I'm going to say this maybe for anyone listening, but for future me, right? When life gets hard, take it day by day. Find, smell the roses, whether that's catching a sunset, whether that's smelling a flower or having a good cup of coffee. Find something positive, because the hard days will go by and better times will come, And that kind of kept me going. And one of the things I found at that time was that's when I found Gary Vee, and he's like, hey, just do whatever it takes to make it happen, And so whether that was, I took a tutoring gig. I used to, and from the film gig that I had, I was working for free. And what happened was one of the other guys got drunk, didn't show up the next day, and they're like, all right, he's fired, you're in, we're going to pay you now. And so that 10 days that was going to be like free work, by the third day I was hired and I was making money, you know?
That's
and
cool.
So that spirit can keep on going. And so like now, there's that never give up spirit, and I'm resourceful, I find a way, I figure things out, and there's no giving up here.
What other, so what made you decide to go back to Curacao, not just stay in the state? Were you allowed to stay in the States? Is there rules against that? Like, you're probably not allowed to stay forever, huh?
No, I wasn't allowed to stay forever. I finished graduation, and then you get to like stay for a year for experience, right? And so I did that, and then they were like, all right, Dutch passport, skedaddle out of here. And I was like, all right, let me go back to a hometown and kind of like rebuild where I am. So.
Was that hard? I'm assuming America was like the land of opportunity, right?
It was the land of opportunities.
How big is Curacao? I mean, like, I feel like it's as big as a city block. I mean, like, it's pretty small, right?
It's pretty small. It's not. It's bigger than a city block.
No, I know. I was kidding. I was kidding.
But you have 150,000 people. You run into the same people a lot of the times.
I was thinking, like, even in Pittsburgh, I feel like there's,
and a lot of like older people come in to live here, and like if they're retired or things. So you don't have the young population's not that big here.
So all the same people, like, it's almost like high school or something. Like all the people in that kind of age range, right? Like at least especially in the area. Have you ever tried to me and you have talked about this, coming back to America, right? I think you're working on that a little bit. How serious are you about that?
Oh, like that's my goal, right? That's the goal. That's the goal, right? Because I miss Amazon 2-day delivery, now 1-day delivery sometimes. Right? I gotta wait 2 weeks.
It depends on what city you're in, man. Sometimes I think they can have it there in 2 hours. Man.
Exactly. I had that. I had a shoot to do the next day, and I ordered an SD card, and it reached me like that evening itself, right? I miss that. I miss drive-thrus. I was like, I would love to have a Chipotle or,
Chick-fil-A?
Love Chick-fil-A.
Heck yeah, man. Do you guys have a McDonald's in Curacao?
They're like fine McDonald's. I just don't eat beef. McDonald's is not for me.
Well, no, I mean, I hear you. I mean, I don't even think McDonald's actually has real beef anyway. So you're probably safe if you don't eat real beef, because there's no way that's real beef. But
yeah, fair.
So, I mean, let's talk a little bit, because, we have a few minutes left. It sounds like you obviously know how to overcome adversity. You got a really, happy-go-lucky, positive outlook. That's what kind of attracted me to meeting you last year. Talk about what it's been like to always kind of like figure out and like do whatever it takes and kind of like keep moving, keep forming new relationships. You're talking about coming back to America. I would love to have you in Pittsburgh. Me and you've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah.
What's it been like for you the last year since like coming to VeeCon, right? Meeting all these people, forming some relationships. I know you've been working on the content team for us for. Building that team. I mean, you were one of the first people. You and manager John and Cody, and now you've seen it grow. I think we have another 4 or 5 people. But like, what's that been like for you? And where do you see yourself going? And like, what are your dreams?
Yeah. So I mean, firstly, the last year has been incredible. So I'm part of a team. Whether it's like your leadership and how you do it, right? Like I think you lead with a lot of empathy and kindness. Right, so you're like a role model for me in terms of like following how to lead, and the people you're surrounded yourself with, right? Whether it's someone like Adam Sand and learning from his videos, whether it was Ryan Groth and going to Transform conference, even the speakers that we got, they put life into perspective in many ways. And so to go there, like I'm behind a camera and I have like tears rolling down my eyes. Like the camera's recording. I was like, at least I'm doing my job. And like and there's some things that really stuck with me. I think Ryan Groth had said this in his keynote, which was like, for a long period he was just trying to survive, and then once he got comfort there, he was allowed to thrive. And I feel like by being a part of this team, I've gone from maybe that survival mode to like having a chance to thrive, and I'm ready to kick gears and really grow and kick it out of the park kind of thing,
Well, one of the things I love about you is every time that we do something, like I've had you fly to the States, I don't know, 3 or 4 times I feel like now since VeeCon, like to do stuff on site for some of these conferences and events that we are a part of in the roofing industry. And every time we go to leave, right? Because we work really hard when we're on there. You know, we do have fun, but we're really working. You know, you're shooting video. I'm bouncing around like a chicken with my head cut off. You know, you're transferring SD cards and moving film and getting people in place. And you work really hard, but you can tell you're really passionate about it. But at the end of every trip, you always bring me a little gift from the island, which I always thought was really nice and cute. You know, like there was a hat, there was a little figurine, and then there's always a note. This is my favorite part. You know, cool. The trinkets are cool, and I like that stuff. But you always write a handwritten note about how appreciative and how much gratitude you have.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, living in America, we don't get enough of that, man. So keep doing that. Like that keeps a guy like me going, man. And that, like, you have no idea. That is fire. Like, because, like, that is just so cool, man. I really appreciate that. Where did you develop that skill? Is that common in India? Is that common in Curacao? Is that just a personal thing for you?
That's from, so I was part of a film fraternity, did a lot of, like, film school studies, right? And one of the things they kind of taught us there is, like, from the first class, very important to, like, because you're doing you get a lot of people to work for you for free. Very important to write handwritten thank you notes, and they do wonders. I was, and then you were at, like, it was part of the ritual. You want to be a part of this film fraternity, this professional film fraternity, right? Now we have NFT communities, right? You could just buy it with some ETH, but, like, you want to be a part of this community, this is what you got to go through. And so I learned it there, and it was great. It was a great experience just doing that, because I felt the gratitude in any case. It's a great experience being able to express that. I've been on the receiving end of them, and I know how that feels. One of my current editors that works for me, she stood out of the pack from everyone because she wrote me a thank you note. And so it works both ways. It brings more happiness and kindness in this world, so why not? And so here.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you guys heard it again. That goes a long way, you know. Like, I've got a lot of sales guys at Big Fish that write thank you cards. I've written thank you cards, you know, and sometimes I think I'm always a slacker because it's like, man, I could literally just sit and write all day. I mean, and never stop writing, because that's how many people that I feel like I owe thank you cards to. Now we have the modern day text and the call, you know, and I try to do that. But, you know, that handwritten card, man, that's a special touch. Keep doing that, man, because that definitely makes an impact, you know. So, anything else you want to share before we wrap it up? I know you have this thing I want to talk about real quick. It says on here, struggling to film at a sunflower field when some problem-solving skills saved the day.
All right.
Talk to me about that.
We're shooting a music video, okay? And we're doing this where, like, so we're going to rent out a camera that's like one of the red cameras. If you know anything about it, they're like $40,000 cameras. Renting it out for a week, you know, did some things, renting it out from the university. And we're filming this music video. I'm the producer, right? I'm the guy. It's like what you do. I'm the guy here just making it happen. We have the director who's going to do this, the actors. I'm the guy who's supposed to get the sunflower field, make sure everyone's there on time, and do these things. Okay? So the director is like, she only wants to shoot no lights, only wants to shoot natural sunlight. I'm like, okay, you have your creative vision, let's do it. So we go 2 weeks before, we go to this area in Miami, filled with sunflower fields, 6 feet high, right? She shoots like a sample video and everything. We talk to the people that, can we film here? Yes, all good. Everything is green light, ready to go. 2 weeks later, when we have the real camera, this is like Thanksgiving break, right before Thanksgiving break, everyone's on holiday. We go there, and the sunflower field is empty. I was so shocked. Like
the grass was mowed. Like there's no sunflowers. Or like they're all dead.
One hanging around, like 1 foot, barely reaching your knee. All of them are gone. The whole effect of it is gone. Because they said, yes, you could film here. They never said, hey, when you come back in 2 weeks, we're going to chop all of them off because they're all grown and we're going to do whatever we need to do with them, sell them or whatever it is. There was no more stuff. Like, it's supposed to be a romantic music video. It's nothing. Now it's just empty.
Sunflowers moving.
Yeah, you go through it. I was so dumbstruck, right, that I actually opened that video again just to see proof. Like, my eyes are not kidding me, right? It was here and it existed and now it's gone. And so we're like, okay, what do we do? Time's running out. Sunlight is setting. Actors are waiting. What do we do? And then I was like, okay, so problem-solving thinking, did some lateral thinking, right? If on this piece of earth there is some sunflowers growing, that means this land is fertile to grow sunflowers nearby. So there must be more sunflower fields nearby. I was like, you guys wait here. I get in my car. I drive 2 minutes ahead, and I find another sunflower field. I go there, right? I was like, okay, now I have to talk to them. There are some sunflowers. The sunflowers of various ranges. Like, this is something this could work. I was like, great. There's one guy working on a tractor. I was like, let me go talk to him. Let me get permission right away. We make this happen. I go talk to him. I'm like, hey, sir, can we please film here? Like, I'm trying to explain it to him. He understands jack shit because he's only speaks Spanish. Now, here's where speaking Spanish comes into play, is where I tell him, like, in Spanish, like, podemos hacer esto, todo. He's like, yes. He's like, dinero, I take a 20, I slap it in his hand, we have a deal. He doesn't need to tell the owners, no one needs to know we're filming here. And so I brought over the crew, we filmed there, and we got our things happening. And because, like, that's what you got to do. You got to think of the problem solving mindset, and you got to get shit done. And we got our shots.
That's what I love about you, man. That's, you know what? Yeah, problem solvers. I'm addicted to hanging out with problem solvers. I love it.
Beautiful.
I love it. You also got a story in here of how you bought your first camera thanks to wine.
Yes, I thought you'd be interested in that one. Right?
Yeah, I want to hear about that story.
Yeah, so this is my final year of graduation, right? When you're in university, they allow you to use whatever equipment, right? But after a while, you know that plug is going to go away, you know. And so you have to figure out what you're going to do after. And now I didn't have any equipment on my own. And here's the thing: I'm a bit heavier now. I was 40 pounds lighter, and I was active and I was impatient. So our classes used to be on the 4th floor. I did not feel like waiting. I would take the staircase. And when I would take the staircase on the 3rd floor, there used to be a billboard that says, Wine Spectator Scholarship, 50,000 available to students. It was in the PR floor. None of the people in PR, all of them were Starburst drinking girls with their MacBooks who would not go out of their way to do things, right? It was like, wine, who cares? But I used to see that. I'm like, that's interesting. And I was like, so I made my next movie. I was like, if I base it upon wine, maybe there's a chance I win some money. Like, I want a piece of that pie. So I wrote my film about wine, and I was like, shot it in the school museum and things about stealing a very precious bottle of wine. I love heist films, so I wanted to make a heist film. And I was like, what's the precious thing we're going to steal? We're going to steal wine. And so that's what I did. And here's how I gamed the system. I first wrote the script. And so in one semester, I wrote the script, and I submitted that because the movie wasn't ready yet, like we were still filming. So I wrote the script. For that, I got $2,500. And then the next semester, I made the film, and I submitted it again. And I didn't know they'd take. I didn't think they'd give it to me again. But then this time, because there was a movie and everything, I got $7,500, which I split that between the friend and me that we worked together to make this film. So we got like $3,750 each. But then
I want to make a film with you. That sounds fun.
I was gonna say, you are the perfect like executive producer who has the connections, resourceful, can bring people together, can talk to people.
Sales skills, yeah. Influence, yeah.
So you have the thing. Anyways, I got enough money. I got around $5,000 to buy my camera, lenses, and everything, and set myself up for that. So that's how I got my first camera, gaming through wine. But let's talk about this for a second. I feel like you'd make a great. I wanted to ask you that. I had a couple of questions for you.
Yeah, go ahead. We got some Q&A at the end. I like this. We've had a couple of shows like this. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, if you ever had a chance to like make a movie, what would your movie be about?
What kind of movie? So I can pick anything?
Yeah. I mean, you've gone through a variety of life experiences.
I would probably try to do a documentary on my life, maybe on my own life, just because, I'm not much of a fiction person to, try to, create something, out of, just thin air. I'm sure I could. If somebody gave me an idea, I could, add to it. Mm-hmm. But, I'd probably have to create, my own my autobiography, have an actor, have a child actor play me as a kid, have another one play me, maybe as a 20, 30-year-old, and then have someone play me now, maybe, I guess. If I was going to do something and then tell the stories and then create the little, backstories and create, the darkness, the light, right? I'd probably really... what would I add in that pack is I'd tell more stories about the people that are in my life at those times. And I think I'd probably, dive deep on that and have a lot of fun with, trying to create those people, those characters, and kind of have some fun. Maybe make those a little bit more fictive, keep them real, but I wouldn't necessarily interview them to get their whole backstory. I would probably have some fun with their characters, probably, just to kind of, whatever's in my crazy creative head, right? To like kind of the way I wanted to portray them, the way I kind of saw them, right? You know, and through that. So maybe I would do something like that. But I think first and foremost, I would love for somebody to give me a script, and then me like be able to like visualize it and then see it and then put my creative spin on it and, you know, find the perfect set, this location, find the perfect actors. Like I would really love, I think that would be fun. And I never realized
your face is lighting up as you say that.
I never realized until we started doing content over the past year that like man, like that's like all the things that I've done in life, you know, as far as sales and trying to get and build relationships, connections, resources, like that's what those guys do in Hollywood. Like that's those guys. That's their special skill set. You know what I mean? And like they get to be like the master creator, and they get to pick the actors, and they get to pick the actresses, and they get to tryouts, and they get to go find a buddy. Oh, they remember somebody from 10 years ago that like that would be a perfect play. They're gonna go find that person. They gotta ask them. You give them hey man, I got this. Hey Jay, you'd be perfect for this. I got this little part here, man. Like I think you'd be great, right? Sell it to them, create the vision. Yeah, and then get everybody together, and then have someone. Then I would need a whole team of people to organize it for me, because right, like I'd be dead on arrival.
That's
right?
where I come in.
Yeah, I'd be dead on arrival.
I'd
be dead on arrival. I give you all this stuff and be like, dude, I don't know how we're gonna do it all, but like, you know, this is what needs to be done.
Yeah,
I don't know how to get started.
And I've done that. I've had to make budgets. I've had to like lead a team of 50 people.
And like you told me that. You told me that like you were like 24 years old. You had to manage a team of 50 people with a bunch of people that were older than you, and you're probably in way over your head or thought you were, but like you probably delivered. You know, I watched you down at the conference that we just got back from in February, where you were just basically, we retired you from running the camera, and you were literally just like telling people where to go, seeing where people are at, making sure people had food and water and drinks and memory cards and running stuff back, uploading stuff, getting your editors to get stuff out the same day. Like, I watched you in action, man. Like, you are... And then you're also calm and cool and collective, and you're so sweet and so nice at the same time. Like that's a rare trait. That's a rare trait. So keep that up. But
thank you. And that's what I did at the movie sets. You know, when I'm dealing with people old, like when I was 24 trying to do it, you know what I tried to do? I thought like, you know what will fool them? Let me grow a bigger beard. That's when it's going to fool them. That's how I'm going to get respect.
Well, that's why I grew a beard, because I look older. And the girl at my work the other day, Mallory, she just asked me, she's like, hey, they're doing some charity auction. Would you shave your beard for charity? I'm like, it all depends on how much they raise. I said, 'cause like, if I shave my beard, I look like I'm, 10 years younger. And I said, I'm trying to, I have like, 60, 70 people that work for me at the Big Fish Contracting Company. I think we got 10 or 15 people on our content team, with different vendors and stuff like that. It's like, I feel a little bit weird when I'm like, looking like I'm 20 or 30, right? So, I don't know. Plus, I like the beard now. But one thing that you told me, and this is right after VeeCon. Remember me and you talked for like hours about like just you. Like I was like really curious about like what you're up to, and you told me you were doing this like film thing where you had like 24 or 48 hours.
48 hours to make a film.
To make a film, like with no just from start to finish. Like it was like put it cram it into parameters, and boom, you gotta like turn it into like a film. That is fascinating to me. That I want to be a part of. I actually want to work for you on that, because like 2 days would not be enough time, because I would get frustrated. That I couldn't do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But like you know how to work with like thin resources, low time. Low budget.
It's been such a stressful thing to do over it, but it's also a very fun experience. Like the thing is, I have been at the leadership helm of it, and so a lot of responsibilities falls on me, and I don't want to, for the people working hard, I don't want to disappoint them.
So here's what I want to do. You have a link for that, right? Yeah. Like, I want you to email me a link. We'll put that link in the show notes to this film. We'll get it some publicity. We'll see if some people want to watch it, see what they think. And then if you think Big Fish should be part of this 48-hour film thing, I want to go to Curacao, because it's like they do it by country, right? Or like by area,
they do it by
it's like
city.
A contest. It's like a contest, right?
We should take our team we should take our content team, get some actors, go to a city and do it, and like that would be an experience.
Do they have it in
48
Pittsburgh?
hours,
Do they have the
absolutely.
48? Is it?
Yes.
It's a nationwide. It's a worldwide thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and specifically in the States, yeah, a lot of cities have.
Is
it.
it
You gotta
always
take it.
so when you do it? Like, is everybody doing it at the same exact time, or is
No,
it like,
you have it's a range, right? Everyone in Pittsburgh will be doing it at the same time, but you have a range for everyone.
So
to
you got
catch
to
up.
find out when it is in Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
Because then
we're going to find out when it is in Pittsburgh.
I get everybody to Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
And you could be in charge of it, right? This could be your, like, you could be in charge. And because I have connections in Pittsburgh, right? Like, plus I know where stuff is. Cody's here.
Yeah.
Get Manager John to come in. Jorge. Ali would be here.
Yeah,
Mallory
we need
from the
people
Big
in front of the
Fish team.
screen after that.
Well, I got
Yeah.
my buddy Chris Callan, who's the creative director of Big Fish
Love it.
Contract.
Great.
He's a big film guy. Like, we'd have an unfair edge, probably.
Yeah,
Because I got a lot of people that are passionate about this. We then just have to figure out. It's almost like a team building exercise. We got to figure out roles and responsibilities.
It
Who's doing
100%
what?
is, yeah.
It's like organization, but because we've already been working together for a little while, and because I don't know, I feel like we got good
And
mojo,
to me,
good
what makes it
vibes.
really special is the people you do it with, right? Because it's it's a
yeah.
bonding experience, and it goes
Well,
down
you
to
don't
like
sleep, right? There's no sleeping. You can't
there's
sleep.
barely
Really
any
not.
sleeping. Listen, if
Yeah,
you're
I
the
don't
leader,
sleep
there's
anyway.
barely any sleeping. But however,
Yeah.
I do realize sleep is a little bit important because otherwise you're not functioning
Nah,
well.
we can sleep after
it's also
48 hours.
it's also delegating correctly, right? Like if the biggest days, if you're the shooting, right? Like once you're done with all that footage, you got to give it to an editor. Then that editor doesn't sleep. Let the editor sleep the first night. Because there's nothing to edit. The second night, editor doesn't sleep. You keep going, and you trade it off.
Are you reshooting anything like on that first half of the
Oh
second
man,
day?
no, you don't have any chance. I mean, it's hard to reshoot something. You barely have.
But then you got to write a script too. Like you don't have a script or anything, right?
No
you get to write a
scripts.
script.
You write the script Friday night. Till Saturday morning. You start filming Saturday to
Are
like
you
Saturday
allowed to
morning.
use
tonight.
ChatGPT now?
I mean, no one's gonna stop us.
I'm just curious because that'd be an unfair
Because
advantage.
ChatGPT has not been available before for us to do that. But yeah,
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like this is the year for AI now.
Yeah,
Like, I feel
yeah,
like
and
you can
why
just
not?
pump it-
I would.
Do they give you like a theme or a title, or you just have to you don't have
Yeah,
nothing
they
to
give
go
you
off of?
so they give you have to pick. So what they give you is firstly everyone has to have this say if it's in the city of Pittsburgh, everyone in the city of Pittsburgh who's doing it that weekend gets one character that has to be in there, right? So that character like in our one, that character was an artist. Okay, you get a line that you have to put in there and a prop you have to use.
That's
Okay,
it.
so those three things have to be in there, and then the thing is specifically for everyone's teams has to go and pick a genre. So we could get a comedy, and we may have to make a comedy, or you have to maybe you have to make a musical, maybe you have to make a silent film. It depends on what genre you get. So you get two genres, and then you get to either pick one, the other, or a combination of both.
Dude, that would be so much fun. I guess I would be, I could see
Yeah.
myself being like the creative guy to kind of help with the storyline.
Yeah.
I could see my also, you guys, I guess we'd all have to be our own actors too, right? Like, I mean, we probably ain't got time to go find actors, right?
No, yeah, that's the key thing. You want to find actors beforehand who are ready to do it, who are versatile. So come the day of, you know who your talent is, and they're like, okay.
Do you think I could be an actor? I have no idea.
100%.
I know I'm a performer. Like when I get in front of a stage,
you bring in the energy, right? You have that creative. You have a creative mindset. Your brain understands. You get this.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Right.
We got to
You
do
get
that.
this.
Find out.
And,
Find out when
is,
the next
for sure.
Pittsburgh 48-hour film festival is, because I want to win that thing, man. I want to win it.
Yeah,
Because that could be the kickoff of us making bigger stuff together.
100%. I've gotten commercial gigs because someone looked at the film and be like, I want those effects in my commercial video. So
You got Manager John. Yeah, we got Cody shoot it. We got Manager John start at. Oh man, Jorge could be on site. Oh yeah, dude, it'd be good. All right, we gotta wrap this show up. There's 5 questions I ask every guest. You ready?
let's do it.
It's so funny. You're on an island, okay? I don't know. You've listened to this show. So, literally, this is the setup. You're on an island, okay? I'm going to send you to another island. Here, I'm going to send you to
Bonaire. I'm in Bonaire.
No, I'm going to send you to an island in, Southeast Asia or the middle of the Pacific
Send
somewhere.
me to Hawaii.
So that way-
let me go shoot some things.
but you're going to be completely by yourself, though. There's nobody else out there.
Yeah.
No people, no nothing, right? What book are you going to take with you?
So one of my favorite authors is Sidney Sheldon. He writes books with a twist you can never catch, and one of my favorite books I ever read is called If Tomorrow Comes. And so that's a book that got me into making heist films or stories and do that. I just love it when you can outsmart the people, because it's so predictable sometimes what's going to happen, but then when you can throw a curveball and you're like, wow, where did that come from? A curveball that makes sense, that's stories of genius.
That's cool. What movie would you take with you?
Big Batman fan, so The Dark Knight, that one
Dark Knight,
is
I
a
love that.
masterpiece.
Heath Ledger, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of my favorite ones. Did you like the Joker movie?
I loved it, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty dark. That was really dark.
It was really dark. Joaquin Phoenix really brought it. They just finished filming the sequel today. They've just wrapped up. It's going to be a musical.
I didn't even know that.
So Joker 2.
Is he in it?
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah.
They just finished filming it, and so now they're going to go into the editing part of it.
So that'll probably take another year to come out, right?
Yeah, another year.
All right, so TV, I did movie, book, restaurant. You can put a restaurant on your island. What restaurant? Nobody's probably even going to know.
Anyone that gives tacos, for me, I was a big fan of, for me, my favorite meal was getting tacos at Chipotle. So, but any place that gives me tacos. Just give me tacos. Do you have a
favorite taco place, or is Chipotle the place?
Let's do Chipotle, man. I can't go wrong with that. I've had a lot of fun meals there.
All right. And then you're allowed to take a trip. Anywhere you go, you're allowed to do 1 week, anywhere in the world. Where are you going to go?
So, I am really fascinated by a place in Portugal called Nazareth. And they have a very unique thing where, because of the valley there, it's by a beach and you get the biggest waves in the world. They call it you can see almost get 100-foot waves on the right kind of thing. And so there's a whole documentary about it. There's a 6-part
what'd you say? What was it called?
The documentary is called 100-Foot Wave. It's in a city called Nazaré or Nazareth, depending on if you say it in Portuguese or not.
Nazareth? Where Jesus is from? Nazareth?
Nazare. So Nazare. They say it in different ways, but say Nazare.
I got you.
We're trying to mix. I'm trying to say it in English, Portuguese,
No, that's cool.
Spanish.
So Portugal. I'm definitely going to have to look it up. All right, last question. This is going to be the best one. You got 24 hours you can spend with any human. Past, present, future. Somebody, I guess not future because you wouldn't know who it existed, but past, present, could be a celebrity, could just be somebody you met in life, somebody that's made an impact on you. You can spend 24 hours with them, pick their brain, ask them questions all day, hang out with them. Who are you going to spend that 24 hours with?
So, I had a great friend growing up since I was 3 years old. We had a little bit of a falling out in 2020. Our values were clashing as we become adults and, following different things. But, I've just reestablished connection with him, but his name's Ranajay. Here's more story for you. His family lineage had a kingdom in India when palaces and kingdoms existed. So he's the prince. He's an actual Indian prince that has his own palace and his own museum back in India. And he's just been a great friend who could anytime I spend with him, there would always be a smile on my face. I haven't seen him in 3 years. I would love to spend 24 hours with him.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So if somebody wants to follow you, get connected with you, what's the best way they can get in touch with you or follow you on social?
So I'm on Twitter every day, JayDevH20 on Twitter. You'll see the same face with a little heart trooper on the side. Or Instagram, JAI, and my last name, Hemrajani. But we'll put the links in the social.
Yeah. We'll put everything in there. Yeah, email me everything for the for that, and we'll send it over to the team. But man, this has been a pleasure. It's been fun. It's been a great year getting to know you. I'm excited to do VeeCon with you again.
100%.
We've been talking that you might just fly to Pittsburgh and ride over with some of the teams, so that'd be kind of cool if we can get that to happen. But love the friendship, first and foremost. Love the work relationship, the partnership with that. Love the fact that you take care of everybody that is on the team, and you've been just a blessing in my life, Jay. I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart, man. And for all you guys listening at home, if you guys have any other ideas for people, guests, storylines, anything you guys want to hear more of, we're always trying to get unique guests on the show, people that got really good stories, and this one didn't disappoint. If you guys get value out of the show, please like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment, email me, do something to show that you got this love. Share it with a friend, tell somebody else. Big Fish Cares. We are on our way to episode 100. We're in the 60s right now, and it's been a grind, but we appreciate the following. We appreciate the support, and until next time, we'll see you on the next edition of the Big Fish Cares podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Big Fish Cares podcast.